I'm OEA President Scott Tomorrow. Time for my weekly update. Today is March 30th, 2021, and it was almost exactly 10 years ago that the Ohio Senate, on a 17-16 vote, passed the final version of Senate Bill 5, which that evening was signed by Governor John Kasich on March 31st, 2011. That was an important moment in our history, and it's a time that we look back and we reminisce about how amazing coming together, collecting 1.2 million signatures from Ohioans across the state, putting Senate Bill 5 on the ballot in the form of Issue 2 to get it repealed by a 62 to 38% margin that November was such a show of solidarity and strength. If you were part of the fight, you'll never forget how we talked to our friends and our colleagues and our neighbors about how the bill was unfair, unsafe, and hurt us all. How we stood up in defense of our collective bargaining rights because we knew that collective bargaining was so critical to not just fight for fair working conditions, but also to fight for the learning conditions that our students deserve. To stand up to make sure that we had good people coming into public employment, to stand in solidarity with nurses and with police officers and firefighters and public employees from all levels from all across the state of Ohio. It was indeed a great victory. But I mention it today because now, 10 years later, it is just as important as it was then to stand together and use our voices as educators to advocate for the things that we know are important. To advocate for fair funding for our students, for healthy and safe working and learning conditions in our schools, knowing that this pandemic is still not over. To stand together and fight against the unfair state takeover law and fight for better report cards and fight for a reduction in standardized testing that sucks the joy out of teaching and learning in our classrooms. To stand together and fight for a strong pension system and access to affordable health care and retirement. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Our students are depending on us. Our colleagues are depending on us. And even though the legislature is on spring break right now, in a couple of weeks when they come back into session, we're going to need you to make your voices heard, to make sure that we do get the resources that we need, that we do get the kinds of education policy changes that are going to make our lives better and that are going to lift up opportunities for students, that are going to advance social and racial and economic justice in the state of Ohio. Thank you for all you did to help win the Senate Bill 5 fight. And thank you for all you're going to continue to do to continue standing and fighting for the schools that our students deserve. Now, later this week, you're going to be receiving a ballot if you are a member of the STRS system for an important STRS board election. I strongly encourage you to think about just how important it is to elect people to the board who are going to fight to protect the integrity of our pensions and our post-retirement health care. Experience matters, and it matters now more than ever. That's why we are enthusiastically supporting Carol Carruthers for re-election to the active seat on the STRS board, and Bob Stein and Rita Walters for the retired seats on the STRS board. Be on the lookout for your ballot in the mail, and as soon as you get it, make sure you take just a few minutes to vote, and you'll be able to vote by mail. You can vote online, or you can vote by making a phone call. But make sure that you are having your voice heard in this critical election. That's all I have for this week. I hope you make it a great week.